retired at the age of 38. How much money did you have when you made that step?
Around 12 crores. I looked at my expenses.
Yeah.
Then I multiplied those expenses with, I take around an hour to make breakfast and eat it. I have a 3-year-old kid. I'm able to spend a lot more time with him.
That your health has actually improved. Can you tell us about that?
Almost all health parameters have improved significantly without any change in exercise or diet or anything like that.
Ravi Handa is an entrepreneur who achieved financial independence at the age of 38 with 12 crores. He built and sold his EdTech startup Handa Ka Funda to an industry leader. He now runs the Desi FIRE Podcast on YouTube, where he shares insights and raises awareness on achieving financial independence and early retirement.
You're retired. Don't you get bored?
Boredom or working in a career that I don't really like, I'll pick boredom 10 out of 10.
Can we look at the possible downsides of the FIRE movement?
See, there are a lot. Your societal value goes down drastically. Your first question is, what is your name? The second question is, what do you do? And once you don't have a good answer to what do you do, it becomes an issue in the social network that you move in.
Ravi, you've retired at the age of 38. How much money did you have when you made that step?
Around 12 crores.
And when did you start the journey?
So actually, if you think about it, I started the journey as soon as I started earning money way back in 2006. I started investing in the stock markets in 2007. And by 2008, I realized that this isn't really my cup of tea. Now, some of the listeners might not remember what 2008 was like, but it taught me a lot of lessons. And since then, I decided I'll stick to mutual funds. Even if I pick the wrong mutual funds, they would be better than what I would invest on my own.
When you started in 2007, 2008, did you know, oh, my FIRE number is going to be 12 crores? But did you even think about this concept of FIRE?
Not at all. Not at all. So I believe I first started thinking about this stuff in maybe 2015, 16 odd. Because that is the point of time I wasn't really happy with my career. That, at the end of the day, is this some big calling or anything? Not really. So
and what were you doing?
So I was running my own business at that point of time. It was an online coaching business for MBA entrance exams. So then I thought that, okay, fine. Is there a way that I don't really need money and, the money keeps coming in without working? Hypothetical thoughts. But that's when I, started looking at investments fairly seriously so that I can get to a goal.
Okay.
The term FIRE probably I heard in 2018, 2019 on some YouTube channel. But the idea that of building some sort of a portfolio so that you don't really have to work for it, that has been there for quite a long time. Because I remember in college in early 2000s, I used to blog.
Okay.
At that point of time, there used to be, Blogspot used to be a website which allowed you to link your blogs to Google AdSense and you could get ad revenue.
Yeah.
And that was a fascinating concept to me that, okay, you are doing something, you create it once and then the money keeps on flowing.
It becomes a passive income source.
It becomes a passive income source. Doesn't scale, doesn't make you a lot of money. So if anyone who is listening and thinking, okay, I can also do this, no, doesn't work.
Okay. So this talking about the corpus, just to pull you back a second, when did you have a clear number of the financial goal, X number of crores, and how did you calculate that?
Okay, so I think that clarity came in 2020 because we were at home, nothing much to do. So then I started watching again a lot of YouTube channels. I started reading a lot of blogs about finance, about investing. And then I realized that the number would probably be around 10-ish crores is what I would need. And then I worked towards that, readjusted my investments according to that.
And how did you land on the 10 crore number?
It sounds nice. So the method that I followed essentially was that I looked at my expenses. Then I multiplied those expenses with annual expenses with 30.
Okay, not 25.
Not 25.
Okay.
30. Then I thought that, okay, there are some other expenses that are going to be in the long term, say, for example, for the kids' education Okay, I always wanted to buy a farmhouse of sorts.
Okay.
So 30x plus that Y.
Okay.
So that number, I don't remember the exact, but that number maybe came to around 8.5 crores. And then I decided that, okay, if this is 8.5, let's round it off to 10 and then
Got it. Feel happy
things
about
would be sorted.
Okay, so not only did you take above 25, 30,
Yeah.
because we hear a lot on social media that, take your annual expenses, multiply that by 25 and that's your number. So you took 30 because you wanted a buffer, a cushion.
Yes.
That's one. And also you separately accounted for other big purchases that you wanted to make.
Yes.
So this, I think, is a very good point for people to keep in mind. Be a little conservative with your calculations, meaning err on the higher side. Always have more money or think that you'll need more money than you may actually require for FIRE.
True.
Right? And then you could, I will talk about that in detail later as well, but when you made the move from, okay, now I'm retired, you must have moved your portfolio a little bit or changed your perspective on how you manage your money. Is that true or you didn't?
Not really. So I think I sort of, built an investing philosophy, if I can call it, somewhere around 2017, 2018. It wasn't something done with very nicely, but I first started seriously thinking about it in 2017-18, and since then I have stuck to a certain asset allocation ideas, etc.
So
Yes.
let's go back to because I want to elaborate on that more. Let's go back to when you first started investing, 2007, 2008. How did you invest? Because you said you tried stocks and then you moved to mutual funds. What kind of funds did you invest in? And then we look at how your investment philosophy changed.
Okay. So in 2007, I essentially started investing in stocks with the idea that, okay, this particular month I'll buy this particular share.
Okay.
Next month money came in. Okay, so I have shares in one company. I need to diversify. I knew at least that much, so I'll buy another company. So every month, whatever I could save, I kept on buying companies.
Different companies.
Different companies. All of them kept doing very well. So I thought that, okay, this is an easy way. Then 2008 came and I realized that, it was sheer luck. And
because the market fell, I think 60%, if I'm not mistaken, around that.
Somewhere around that. So that's what the index fell.
Yes.
My portfolio fell much more than that because I was chasing the hot stocks, so to say. Thankfully, I did not have too much money at that point of time. I had been working just for 1 year. Few thousands. I don't think I had even a 1 lakh rupee portfolio at that point of time. Post that, I decided that, okay, let's leave it to the experts. And I started investing in mutual funds.
Okay.
When it comes to mutual funds, so let's say someone recommended you get X fund. I used to get that. Someone said get Y. No SIPs or anything like that. You need to understand this was 2009 that we are talking about, and the situation was very different then.
Even the education and awareness about mutual funds and SIPs is not like it is today.
Not like it is
Hardly
today.
anyone knew what an SIP was.
Yeah. I think then, I believe in 2013, once I had started my business, direct plans came into the picture.
Yeah.
So that is when I started getting a little bit serious that, okay, since direct plan means that you need to make the decision yourself. You can't rely on anyone advising you. So that's when I got a little bit more serious, and that's when I started investing a little more, in an organized fashion, so to say.
How many funds did you have in your portfolio at that time, 2013, 14?
Maybe 10-ish is what
quite
I
a
would have
lot.
had, which is a lot, is a lot.
All equity funds.
All equity funds. At that point of time, it was, all equity. I did not even know that something like debt mutual funds exists.
Yeah.
I think then 2017, etc. is when I started thinking about, okay, now you need to take a more rational approach. You can't keep on putting money in equity randomly. Also, because it was my business, some months I'm saving 1 lakh rupees, some months I'm saving 4 lakh rupees. So it was odd.
So when you felt you had to make that change and be more systematic, more strategic about it, what was the total corpus that you were managing of your own that time?
I think maybe around 1 crore or so, maybe a little bit more, somewhere between 1 to 2 crores at that point of time.
And did you feel like now my portfolio is big enough that it you take it more seriously?
Yes. So that was the idea that, whatever I'm making, saving in a month, if I can just manage my portfolio a little bit better, I might make the same amount of money, but it's a huge chunk. So I need to be serious about it. It can't just be, just random investments here and there. So that's when I got serious. That's when I started learning a little bit more about it. That's when I got onto the idea of that, okay, we need to work on something called asset allocation. I did not know a term like emergency funds existed at that point of time, but I knew that, okay, I need to have some cash buffer because the business is making money right now. Even for the business to continue, a business doesn't make money every month. So you need to have some sort of cash buffer.
Yes.
So I had a cash buffer in my business, but in my personal life, I had no cash buffer built up. So built up a cash buffer, then I built up a debt portfolio, and then I started doing asset allocation, etc.
Okay.
Which actually worked well over the years because it became a process of investing. It wasn't randomly that, okay, X is telling me put in this fund, then someone says, no, markets are very high right now, don't put money. So then I put in debt funds, but it wasn't very organized. So sat down over a period of time. I think by 2018, I got to a 50% sort of in asset
50%
allocation.
in equity, 50% in debt, all using mutual funds, debt funds and equity funds?
All using mutual funds.
Okay. At that time, you didn't have any gold in any sort in your portfolio?
No, not at all. So gold is something that I started picking up maybe 2021-ish.
Okay. Trying to take you back to the time when you got on this journey or when you started taking your early retirement seriously. There must have been some sacrifices you made which forced you or which allowed you to invest the kind of money you needed to reach your goal. If so, then what were these tough sacrifices that you had to make in life?
See, to be really honest, it wasn't much of a sacrifice. It was circumstance.
Okay.
So in 2015, my parents' health wasn't keeping that well. I used to be in Pune at that point of time.
Okay.
In 2015, I shifted to Jaipur. Now, Jaipur is not that costly of a city to live in. Yes, it will be costlier than many other places in India.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to, let's say, something like a Pune or a Mumbai or a Bangalore or a Delhi, it's significantly cheaper. At least the real estate is significantly cheaper. So that gave me, a certain comfort. Car becomes an example. So I got a car in 2016, which was a Honda City.
Okay.
The first car that I got was an i10, I believe, in 2011 or 12.
All right.
Now, if I had stayed in Pune, first of all, in 2016, when I had the money, I would not have gotten a Honda City. I would have gotten a much better, much fancier car. And even if I had gotten a Honda City by 2018, 2019, when I had more money, when the company got acquired, I would have upgraded it to a fancier car. I was sitting in the reception today and I saw multiple Porsches going in and Mercedes going in the 10 minutes that I was waiting at the reception. That doesn't happen in Jaipur.
That would probably have been you if you had stayed in Pune or Mumbai.
Maybe.
Okay. That's a very interesting point because it seems like the fire or the desire to retire early almost came naturally to your lifestyle because you're not a big spender. If I understand it right, you didn't buy any home to live in apart from your family home, or did you?
No, nothing. So
that is a big expense that you didn't have to take on. Because a lot of people who live in the cities away from their family, that becomes an even bigger challenge. They want to buy a house, they want to buy a place to live in, plus they want to upgrade their cars, they want the latest phones, etc. And of course, it's also more expensive to go out, entertainment and those sorts of things. So people in big cities, it may be a sacrifice, but for you, it was circumstances that just pushed you along the way.
True.
That's great. I think that's something that people should think about also in their FIRE journey. What does FIRE mean to you? If I were to ask you to think about this a little philosophically maybe, what about it attracted you? Is it the freedom? Is it the fact that I didn't have to work every day? What was it?
See, I put it down to choices. I grew up in 90s India. I'm 1983 born. And my parents were in a government job. They kept on getting transferred to various places. At that point of time, I had only two career options. Either I will become a doctor or I will become an engineer. These days, kids have a lot of options, but these two were the only ones for me.
And I think both your parents are doctors.
Both my parents are doctors. So I decided to become an engineer because, I saw them moving they were government doctors. So government doctors keep getting transferred. So that's something that I didn't really like as a kid. You build friends in a particular place and then you find out a year later or a couple of years later, that mom has been transferred to a different location.
Yeah.
To be really honest, if you ask me today to list down all the schools that I have studied in, I will not be able to do that. I don't even remember the names of all the schools that I have been in. So that's why the engineering part came into the picture. And once I started working, I found out that I had to do a lot of things because my boss wanted me to do those things, or even when I was running my own business. So I ran my own business for a period of 8 years.
Okay.
And people think that, oh, if you're running your own business, you have all the freedom to do whatever you want because you are the big boss. I used to think that when I started my own business, that boss, now I'm done, I'm the CEO, I will do whatever I want to do. Doesn't work that way. As a CEO, you need to take care of what the employees are thinking, you need to take care of what the customers are thinking. And I ended up doing a lot of things which felt like a pain. Providing customers, it wasn't a big team, so providing customer support at 9:30 in the night when I have gone out for something. During the 8 years that I was working, I don't think I ever took a vacation which was more than 7 days. So all those issues were there. I didn't have a choice. I have to do this. Financial independence or freedom or whatever you want to call it, it gave me that choice. I can do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do.
Yeah, sticking to the theme of freedom for a while, because FIRE has two aspects: there's financial independence and there's retire early. That independence allows you to retire, of course. But now that you have this financial freedom, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. You don't have to interact with people you don't want to interact with just for the work. So it's given you this ability to design your life and your day exactly how you want to. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what your life looks like these days, now that you have this freedom?
It isn't that fancy, to be really honest, but there are things which I am able to do now, which I wasn't to do earlier. Say, for example, I take around an hour to make breakfast and eat it. So what I'll do is I'll put on something on Netflix or put on something on YouTube, and I will take an hour to make and eat something there only. So that is there. Then I have a 3-year-old kid. I'm able to spend a lot more time with him. A lot of social media on Twitter. I spend a ton of time.
And I think before we got onto the in front of the camera, we were talking about some of the benefits of FIRE. And one unexpected thing you mentioned was that your health has actually improved.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So as anyone can see, I'm not one of the healthiest and the fittest people. Not that over the last few years that I'm eating better or I'm exercising or anything like that. But my health has improved. Over the past 10 years or so, I have been getting those annual health checkups where you check your sugar, cholesterol, lipid profile, LFT, I don't know, all those parameters which are there. And year after year, since the last 10, it kept on getting slightly worse. So your sugar went slightly higher. So I was never a diabetic or any sort of problems. But every time it was, oh, now you are even closer to the danger line. Now you are even closer to the danger line. Over the last 2 years, almost all health parameters have improved significantly without any change in exercise or diet or anything like that. And I give the entire credit of that to the fact that the stress has been eliminated to a certain extent.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'd never thought about that, and that's good to know. Can we look at the possible downsides or maybe the ugly side of the FIRE movement, if there are any? So what would you tell people to be cautious about?
See, there are a lot. So one of the big mistakes that I have made is I don't really have a plan of what to do after I quit my job. So when you are planning this journey, you're planning for a certain amount of money, etc. You also need to plan for, okay, fine, if you actually retire, what are you going to do after that? I didn't have that. I still don't have that. But it has given me time to experiment with various stuff, but that I believe can be problematic because you are sitting at home with nothing to do. Boredom comes into the picture. Your societal value goes down drastically because at the end of the day, your work is your identity. Your first question is, what is your name? The second question is, what do you do? And once you don't have a good answer to what do you do, it doesn't matter if you have enough money or not. It doesn't matter whether you'll be able to take care of your family or not. But it becomes an issue in the social network that you move in. So that challenge is there. And anyone who's listening, who's even thinking about this, I would say that, if you're allocating, 100 resources for the financial thing, you at least need to, put in 15, 20 resources in figuring out what you are going to do.
It becomes a question of how much time are you going to allocate to what activity in retirement.
True.
Because you can't just sit and watch Netflix all day. You'll get bored of that as well. And so time allocation becomes important.
True.
Some of the things that people could think about doing are, let's say, working on passion projects, consulting type income or consulting type activities.
I tried that. So I tried the startup consulting, startup advisory, etc. I didn't really enjoy it that much.
Why?
Maybe because I was doing it remotely. So I am in Jaipur. It doesn't offer me that many opportunities. Maybe if I was in Bombay or Bangalore, I would be able to do it.
Got it.
Because it was all online. So let's say if there is a startup in Bangalore and I am in Bangalore and I'm going there maybe once a week or once in 2 weeks, I'll meet them, I'll chat with them, I'll build a relationship with them. That might work.
Yeah.
But remotely, I didn't enjoy it. I did try it.
Okay. Coming back to that pull the plug moment when you went from working to retired. You were 38, I think you
38,
said.
yeah.
Around 38, which is the same age as I am, by the way, right now. What was pulling the plug? Like, what did it look like? Was it a mental decision? Was it that your business stopped or you stopped working? Or like, what happened?
What happened was maybe 6 months before that. So I realized, okay, fine. I have the money part of it is sorted. Now I need to, maybe sort out cash flows and other stuff. So around 6 months ago, I went to, 6 months before pulling the plug, I went to my boss and said, Ki, boss, I am not able to work this hard. I'll work half the time and give me half the money.
This is when your company was acquired by
Unacademy.
And you were working essentially as an employee again?
I was working as an employee again at Unacademy. So at Unacademy, I went to my boss and said that, fine, you have no complaints on anything else, but this is too much work. I don't want to work this hard. Is it possible that I work half the time and get half the salary? Because I was a teacher, it is very easy to do that. Instead of taking 100 classes, you take 50 classes and you get paid for 50 classes. So they agreed with that. And in that mode, I worked again for a period of 5-6 months. And in that 5-6 months, both my boss also realized that it is not working. I also realized that it is
so you had mentally checked out?
Yes. So at that point of time, both of us thought that it won't really be a great idea. See, because although I was taking classes for half the time, but my mind, your mind still remains occupied. You are still, at the end of the day, you might have a few extra hours, but it isn't that, okay, you are half free. So there is no such thing as half freedom. So that's when I sat down with my boss and said that, this isn't the answer. Cutting down 50% is not going to work. And they also said that, boss, cutting down 50%, the output that is coming out, that's also not that great. So that's when we decided, okay, fine, let's get
interesting.
out of it.
And now coming back to the financial part and the portfolio part of this movement from working to retired. You said it was about, let's say, 10 crores at the time when you retired. Did your portfolio asset allocation significantly change at the beginning of your retired period?
No, not really. So my asset allocation remained 50-50 for a very long period. Since I started thinking about asset allocation, it was 2017-18. From then I stuck to that 50-50 thing till I believe the company got acquired, or maybe a little bit after that. So at that point of time, what happened, okay, fine, the company is acquired. I thought that I have a little bit extra money. whatever buffer I was planning to build, that buffer is there, and then I have a little bit extra. So that is the point of time I started moving from that 50-50 towards a 70-30.
70 in equity and 30 in debt.
I would say 70 in risky assets and 30 in safe assets. So
Right.
that 70 includes equity also, that 70 includes SGBs.
Yes.
Also, that 70 includes a little bit of real estate
Okay.
as well.
What kind of real estate do you hold?
So there is a flat that I live in, which is, I don't really consider
Yeah.
that to be in my equation. I own a piece of land on the outskirts of Jaipur,
Which you had planned earlier itself.
which I had planned earlier itself to maybe, develop some sort of a gardening space, farmhouse, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, interesting. So you now are on a 70% approximately risky assets, 30% safe. That could be in debt funds. For someone, it may be in FDs and debt funds, whatever that may be. So going forward, is there any particular strategy that you're looking at implementing in your portfolio now? Or do you just think that your current asset allocation and current strategy works well for you into the future?
The current asset allocation essentially works. I have no doubts about that. But what I do plan to do in the coming years is, increase the gold allocation.
Okay.
So the risky part remains 70%, but the gold chunk in it, that has to go up. I'm not happy with the gold allocation that I have. The other thing is that bulk of my portfolio, with the equity portfolio, is in large cap funds. It's either the Nifty 50 or equity large cap funds, etc. I don't have the exact numbers, but my mid cap, small cap allocation would be less than 5%.
Oh, okay.
Which is something that, again, I will fix over the long term.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And for the withdrawal, so when you withdraw money from your portfolio to live your life, take care of your expenses, is there a particular amount that you have set, let's say in an SWP, that you withdraw every month, or do you withdraw as and when you need to in the amount that you need?
So what I've done is I have made one mutual fund, which is essentially going to be, this is my expenses mutual fund. So whatever expenses happen, I keep on withdrawing money from that particular.
What sort of a fund is it?
It's an ultra short-term fund.
Okay, yeah.
So pure debt, because
Very safe debt fund.
very safe debt fund, nothing can happen to it. Hopefully nothing will happen to it. So even for that also, I have 2-3 ultra short-term funds from 2-3 AMCs that just in case something happens to an AMC, I have that sort of buffer. So I keep withdrawing from it as and when the need arises. Every 6 months or so, typically around Holi and Diwali, I look at my asset allocation, how things are doing, and then I rebalance.
Okay.
So when I rebalance, if the equity markets are doing well, as they have been for the last 4 years, it just amazes me, man, that I sometimes start to get worried that, okay, will I be able to behave rationally when the bad time comes? Till now that hasn't happened. So sell equity, move the money into one of these debt funds, and that keeps taking care of expenses.
Okay, and do you keep in mind, or are you conscious that I should not withdraw more than X lakhs per year or more than X percentage of my portfolio per year?
Yes. So I have set those guardrails, so to say, in place that in any year, I should not be withdrawing more than 5%, whatever happens of what my portfolio is. Thankfully, once again, thanks to the markets, such a situation has not come yet.
Yeah. Ravi, for a lot of people, money and finance is a big stressor. Now that that is out of your life, how do you feel about that when you go to sleep at night, knowing that you don't have that stress in your life?
I have been lucky enough to never be stressed about money.
Okay.
My parents were never dependent on money in any way. My wife used to, so she also doesn't work anymore. So my wife used to be in a job, and in a very reasonable, high-paying job as well. So thankfully, I have been lucky enough that I never had the pressure of, okay, how I will pay an EMI or anything like that. The other part is I always had, and I still have enough confidence today that if something happens, if Indian stock market stops existing for some random reason, I still have enough faith in my capabilities that, okay, fine, I'll go and do something again, I'll make money again. Making money is not that much of a problem. Yes, making this much amount of money, I don't think I'll be able to repeat it because I've been extremely lucky and disciplined over a long period. But I'll be able to make, money which is required for my needs.
Yeah.
So never had that as a stress. The stress part that I had was targets and deliverables. And I have a meeting in Bangalore at 10 a.m. So I'm taking a 6 a.m. flight from Jaipur to Bangalore and then landing in Bangalore at 8:15 and then thinking going from airport to HSR, will I be able to reach there on time?
Yeah.
I have a Zoom call scheduled with someone at 2 o'clock and someone else calls me at 2 and it is 2:05 right now. So I'm on both things. So those were the real stresses for me.
That sounds like my last 2 days. I went from Delhi to Pune. The next morning, 6 a.m., Pune to Mumbai for a shoot. And then calls after that. So maybe I should seriously be looking at my FIRE number.
Yeah, give it a shot. Do you enjoy your work? That becomes a... So yes, so that is the foundation on which these decisions should be taken. Should you be looking at becoming financially independent and making more money? Everyone should be looking at making more money. That's a no-brainer. But should you be looking at an early retirement? That depends on how much you love your job. Every job will have some aspects that you will love. But there will always be aspects of your job that you don't like. So for anyone who has a job or a career or a business where, yes, every job will have problems, but as long as the joy is more than the problems, please continue working with that.
You're 41, you're retired. Don't you get bored?
I do. But, it becomes a trade-off. I get bored a lot. However, it is still way better than working in a job or a business that you don't really like. So that becomes a comparison for me. And boredom and something exciting, you will go for something exciting. I would also. But my choices are boredom or working in a career that I don't really like. I'll pick boredom 10 out of 10.
I think that's a great point on which to end this conversation. Ravi, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed this and thanks a lot for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for watching this episode of Temperament. If you had 12 crores today, how would you spend it? Let us know in the comments section and see you in the next episode.